Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. Pull up a chair. It's time to get down to the business. This is Mr. Jason Black, and on tonight's program here, I'm going to see about getting into some good trouble because I want to talk about the MGTOW Minstrel movement. Without further ado, I suppose I want to start with my main focus. I guess the person that I feel most encapsulates that, and that would be Donovan Sharp. Recently, we had the opportunity to be treated to some of his musings. You can see it for yourself.
So rather than admitting the truth about their dating market options, white girls use the word don't in place of the word can't. They do this to give themselves and the world the impression that they'd go back to dating white guys if they wanted to, knowing that they probably couldn't if word got out about her proclivities to commingle with brothers. Here's another question. Is this really about race in the first place? In short, no. Let me give you a personal example. If I were interested in a woman, approached her, got her number, and set up a date, then listened to her swoon over her ex-boyfriend who stood at 6'5", 3% body fat, who was worth 7 figures, and had a 13-inch sausage, I would not set up a second date. You want to know something? His race wouldn't matter. Whether this mythical man were Asian, white, black, or Hispanic, his race would be of little or no consequence. The fact that I don't measure up statistically to her ex is what would keep me away, not his race. Today's white men live that make-believe scenario every time they see a good-looking white girl holding hands with a black guy. No, they can't assume what his net worth is. But if that guy's in decent shape, white guys automatically assume that he is plowing her senseless with his baseball bat-sized male organ. In a white guy's mind, he thinks that he'll never be able to smash her or take her on the emotional roller coaster ride the brother appears to be doing for her. If he saw a pretty white girl with a white guy who was tall, good-looking, and self-assured, he'd probably have those same assumptions. So this scarlet letter has more to do with the perceived persona of black men and less with our skin tone. A while back, I did a podcast called Why Do Parents Discourage Their Teens from Interracial Dating? In that episode, I stated that if white fathers showed their daughters what a strong, masculine head of household was, rather than allowing themselves to be bossed around and marginalized by their bossy wives, their daughters would be far less likely to date outside of their race, namely black guys. Another element I pointed out was that white fathers know that if their white daughters had a reputation for dating black men or black boys in high school, she would essentially take herself out of the running to secure a high-value white male, at least in the city or country they live in. White fathers can say whatever they want, they can give politically correct answers if asked in public, but deep down, they know that if their white daughters date, hook up with, marry, or even have a baby with a black man, her dating options would be greatly limited in that regard. And guess what, white fathers? It's okay to feel this way. This isn't about race. It's about your daughter essentially rejecting men like you. It's the very same reason that black mothers lose their minds when their black sons choose white women.
So, white fathers, it's okay. It's not about race, as he is describing a racial dynamic. The problem that we have is that there are so many black males who've been raised without a father in the home and raised by women who hate themselves, that they are desperate for anything that sounds slightly plausible, so they would even gravitate to something like this. And I want to know how many black males think that this is okay, because to me, this isn't red pill. This is a MGTOW minstrel. Buck dance and a jig. Now, when they go in circles of white men, the white men don't co-sign that type of talk about white women or about themselves. You can't go in a circle of white men and they're sitting up here telling you how okay it is to treat them differently. You want to know why it is you don't see me endorse any of these people? Now you know why. Now that the audio is straightened out on that, now you know why. I want to know who in the world co-signs that. You see, in order for these black dudes to be able to get along and to rise in the so-called MGTOW red pill community, they've got to sit up here and act like black white supremacists. They got to sit up here and be the Negro flunky. They have to sit up here and tell the white guys that their racism is okay. Somebody else that I've got nothing really good to say about here would be Coach Greg Adams. For those of you who did not know, if you ask him about whether or not you should have a blow-up doll, you'll be very interested to know his response to you. And it's no secret. So for those of you who are brain dead, haven't checked into it, don't really know anything, just because you are late and stupid and slow, that doesn't change anything. A lot of the fact that so many of you are unaware of this just shows that you didn't really think this over. But yes, if you ask Coach Greg Adams that if you tell him, well, these women are too difficult to date, I'm thinking about getting me a blow-up doll, he's going to tell you, well, you know what? That's an option for you too. At one point, I think he was even trying to make money off of linking to websites to sell them. Now, if you are a male who thinks that chasing blow-up dolls is an alpha move, that's what alphas do, okay. Don't sit up. Now, like I say, for the slow and those of you who weren't really raised around anybody who has some sense, well, some of the things they say be right. That's the slow ADHD kids talking. If you're willing to let them lead you on and some of the things they say is right, and then they are leading you to a blow-up doll, I don't have anything for you. Although I do certainly hope you do get your blow-up doll, because as long as you're having sex with her, there's no chance that you're going to reproduce with a real woman. So we don't have to worry about 3 or 4 little useless, brain-dead, backwards, regressive, dog-like ewes running around. So I actually would endorse that. Simply because it keeps you from having relations with a real woman and risking spreading your disease mentality. So I actually would endorse you guys who do that. You see, what these guys do is they talk to your frustration. They directly address your frustrations. They directly articulate things that you agree with about your frustrations about women. But then the problem comes when they get to the solution part. That's where the problem comes in once they start discussing the solution. What's the solution to it? Well, one guy says the solution is blow-up dolls, and the other guy says the solution is to be a Sambo.
Hell, even I can admit that if I had a daughter, I'd feel some type of way if she chose to be with a white guy. Does that make me a racist? No, it makes me a human being.
Okay, who's co-signing? I just want to know who's listening to that and saying, yeah, when I get around the white dudes, I'm okay with the white dudes telling me what I don't have access to. But you see, here's the problem. You don't get to go in their circles and tell them what they can't have. These Asians and Arabs set up their stores in black communities, and they feel like they got a right to sexual access to black women. You don't get to go anywhere among white men and insist that you have a right to sexual access with their women, and you certainly don't get to tell them that they don't have sexual access. Much less to have the gall to tell them that they should be okay with that. With all these white dudes who are running around all over the place spreading AIDS to all these black women, what was that DJ, whatever the hell his name was, and you think that's what they're on? You think they're co-signing you limiting them? No, that limitation is for you. The limitation is for you. It's not for them. And then you all wonder why it is that you haven't seen me get together with any of these dudes. I'm insulted that you would even ask the question. once you hear what they're endorsing? How many of you are so desperate for interracial sexual access that you are willing to put on your Sambo slippers and start dancing a jig? Simple question. And I know a lot of these dudes are doing it for the money. They want access because most of these fellas, like I say, basically this is giving them the ability to replace their job at Circle K. The little old bit of 2 pennies they get from YouTube. This is giving them the ability to replace their job at Circle K, and I get that. So they will say anything. You think Steve Harvey is shameless. These dudes will say anything, but that doesn't make it right, and that doesn't make you smart for co-signing it. So I want to know. Blow up dolls and butt dancing. This is what it means to be MGTOW. This is what it means to be them. And I've been saying this for the longest time, that in order for you to operate in their circles, you have to do this. You have to do this. The other thing is, I'm not going to take advice from anybody who's going to sit up here and tell me that they're black and they don't date black women. At that point right there, I'm like, okay, you have nothing to say. I'll be damned if you're going to be a white man who says, I don't date white women, and then white men are going to listen to you for advice on how to deal with women, period. If you don't have the ability to deal with women, the women from the community you came from, why in the hell would anybody listen to you try to lecture them about how to deal with women outside of the community you were raised in? Do you realize what type of a brainwashed idiot you have to be to believe that you're somehow more of an expert on women outside of where you were raised than where you were raised at, where you come from? Do you realize how brain screwed you have to be to say or suggest something like that? Do you realize how outlandish that is? Okay, I get it. These guys don't. They don't understand. I get it. But you don't have a red pill movement. You've got a minstrel movement. You have a butt dancing movement. You don't have a red pill one. You see, when it comes to power, even if you do not want the white women, you should, this isn't about the white women. This is about them saying that you as a black male, there's something wrong with your value. You're not supposed to ever co-sign somebody suggesting that there's something intrinsically wrong with your value. Even if they truly believe that, damn it, they better pretend like they don't. Even if they don't actually believe it, they better pretend like they do when you come around. They better act like it. So to anybody who's got a problem with what I'm saying here tonight about these guys, is this your king? Is this your king? Do you endorse this? Is this your man? You're okay with this? This is all right with you? Are you co-sign that? Why? You can understand why they would have a problem with you? Are you co-signing and endorsing
Girls
this?
who have come to the dark side even one time in their lives. So rather than admitting the truth about their dating market options, white girls use the word don't in place of the word can't. They do this to give themselves and the world the impression that they'd go back to dating white guys if they wanted to, knowing that they probably couldn't if word got out about her proclivities to commingle with brothers. Here's another question. Is this really about race in the first place? In short, no. Let me give you a personal example.
Is this really about race in the first place? Well, he's weighed in, and he's here to tell you, nope, not about race. As a matter of fact, I identify with the white guys and their attitude. He identifies with racist white males and their attitudes toward black men. So that really should crystallize for you how he sees himself. That should really crystallize that for you. Understand that. So I'm just asking a simple question. Is this your man? No, don't get mad at me. I'm asking, is this your man? This is who you're caping for? If you're going to do that, then go ahead and say it. Stand on up and say it. Say that from the top of your voice then, if this is your man, and you go ahead and co-sign, well, yes, I agree. Ain't nothing racist about that there. Go ahead and say that. And then let's go ahead and let people go ahead and decide for themselves if they want to be a part of that and if they want to sign on for it. But there is no way that you can endorse these positions and call yourself an alpha. There's a bunch of y'all out here, and that's another thing. They actually don't teach you, they actually don't instruct you or talk to you about how to exert your influence with a single female. They just sit up here and tell you, well, hell, just keep saying, go from one to the other one then, and hope it work out. That's another thing that's just really cornball about these dudes. That's the other thing. What they're selling you all is weakness and the law of averages and just approach every female you can and just hope for the best. That's really what they're offering you. Just approach every female who's out there and just hope for the damn best. Hope it works out for you. If it does, great. If it don't, well, quote, move on to the next one. Wait a minute, but if their teaching was so great, wouldn't they be able to instruct you how to get that one? Now, I know some of you, you lack a father figure, so anything that doesn't look like a female, you will just gravitate to them. You don't ask any questions. You don't think critically. You don't do that. So I understand this. What I'm saying here is probably going to be offensive to some of you because you've accepted these as daddy figures because that's just how corrupted and tainted a background you come from. But understand, you're not going to find a white counterpart to Donovan. Just like you're not going to find a white counterpart to Crystal and Karazine. You're not going to find it. You're not going to see these people outside of black society endorsing that type of thing and saying, okay, we can go with that. We'll go ahead and go with that. This is something that's for internal consumption. So the next thing I want to tell you is, and another thing these guys have in common, which is the next thing I want to tell you about, you got to watch out for these fellas who are out here and stuff. And if they've interracially dated, most of them have done it from a very sick, very ill place of trying to demonstrate how weak and powerless they can be. So they come among the men and preach alphaism, but then among the females, they are preaching submission. And I never thought that was okay too. So if you want to know why I've kept away from them, it's because it's been very obvious to me, this ain't really something I really want to get involved with. This isn't really something that I've really wanted to get into an exchange with and really wanted to invite into our company. And I've been watching it and seeing it for a while. I've been hearing it for a while. And I understand. Now, some of you, like I say, and can we just be honest about it? There's unresolved mommy issues, unresolved daddy issues. When you allow somebody to sit up here and tell you that there's something wrong with you for being a black male and that it's okay, at some point, you're supposed to look at yourself and say, all right, I'm not going for this here. I'm not going for this here. Because you can't go among Asian men and they're going to co-sign that. You're not going to go among Asian men and they tell you that there's what the limitations are. Then once you come over here with you, then all of a sudden it's all right. I'll take that. A lot of you have been buck broken and don't even realize it. I mean, a lot of you have been buck broken in that way and you don't even realize that that's where you're at. Those should be questions you're asking yourself. How in the world is it you think that's all right to do? How is it you think that that's okay to do there? And all right, well, you're sitting around like Nevish. Do you realize that they've buck broken you? And then you're asking me why I don't endorse that, why I say something totally different. And a lot of folks want to sit up here and try to change that now and let me alter it. And, well, that's not really what we meant and really what we said. A lot of folks are going to be doing that. But I want to ask you a question. I want to speak specifically to the men. Is this what you want to be? Is this all right with you? Is that the way you want to sound? Are you okay with sounding like that and being like that? Is this really what you thought you were signing up for when you threw in your lot with this? I mean, I know a lot of you thought that I'm just going to tell the truth about my mama and whatnot. Okay, but did you really think you were signing up for the rest of this? Because that's the question I want you to start asking. Too many people are sitting up here agreeing with these things and co-signing these things and not actually asking themselves, man, is that really where I want to be? Is that really what I want to have? Do I really want to be a part of something that denies my basic humanity and then start making excuses for why that's okay? Is that really where you thought this was taking you? I'm not even saying that you have to sit up here and I'm not even saying you have to sit up here and agree. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, is this what you're going for? And by the way, the folks who want to sit up here and defend it, notice they're not defending it and saying why, yes, what he's saying is correct. Now you notice the trolls in the chat room, they're not saying, yes, what he's saying is correct. Why, yes, I agree. Why, yes, I can go with that. You're acting like females. You're acting worse than females about it. If you're really going to defend dude, why don't you go ahead and just say, yes, this is what I agree with. I think it's fine. Why is it you're not saying that instead? Why is it that that's not what you're saying? You're not saying that this is okay and this is great and this is fine. That's not what you're doing. What you're saying is, well, let me deflect. No, just go ahead and stand up for it. Don't run from it. Just go ahead and stand up. Go ahead and just stand up and say, yeah, I agree with that. If this is really what you believe. Now, if you're in a situation where you can't even stand up for the dude that you're sitting here wanting to troll for, you shouldn't be saying it. Understand something. If you can't stand by the points he's making, then you just shouldn't be doing it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's time for you to grow the hell up. A lot of you are suffering from this gross immaturity. These guys are taking advantage of the fact that basic things you should know Nobody even thought you were worth talking to if you had somebody available to have the conversation. They just didn't believe that you were even worth talking to. So you just been left out here listless. You've been just left out here listless. Relying on individuals who are coming to you with all sorts of jaded, strange, really wacky way out philosophies, things they've ripped off from other people. Now you all are going to get together in a circle and deny your basic humanity, and that's okay too? That's where we at now? But you're asking me why it is I haven't had anything to do with that. And by the way, those are just the ones that I mentioned. That whole little clique that they run with, all of those goofball jackasses, they are all in the same boat too. All of them are in the same boat too. Let me be very clear about that. I'm not giving anybody a pass on that. Everybody's in the same boat. I'm not going to say everybody's name because most of them are insignificant. But this little minstrel movement of MGTOW, red pill people, this is the problem I always had, is that they understand. By the way, they understand and they know where they're at. They know that the white dudes run the yard when it comes to this genre. They know that. They know it. Which is why they're going this far and no further. They understand that. As a black man, you're supposed to recognize when somebody is cooning you out. As a black man, you are supposed to intrinsically recognize when somebody's doing that. That shouldn't be something that you have to sit here and wonder about. No, I don't know. And are you sure? And that might be happening, but it might not be. You're supposed to know that, man. You shouldn't even have to be told that. But let's be clear. These guys don't have to be told either. Truth be told, they don't have to be told either. They already know. They already get it. They're already aware that, yeah, this is the price they have to pay to hang out with these dudes. You have to sit here and laugh at the nigger jokes. You have to equivocate racism. You have to act like the problem is you, not them. They're willing to make that Faustian bargain. I'm looking at the rest of you and saying, okay, is that you too? Is that you too? That's what I want you to understand. Is that you too? Now, the other thing is you got to beware of these individuals. We talk about a woman scorned, but we don't really talk about dudes when they're scorned. We don't really talk about that. We don't talk about that. A lot of you are just the goofball niggas that people made fun of in high school, and you're telling yourself that you're getting revenge. So essentially, this is revenge of the lames. You're mad at your mom and you're telling yourself, oh, I'm going to get revenge. You were made fun of in school. You were clowned in school. So now you're grown males sitting up here getting together, acting like the failed females who get together in their little circles of failure. I don't fool with black women. Yeah, the problem is no women fool with you. It isn't that you don't fool with black women. It's that women don't fool with you. The women don't fool with you. There's nothing to fool with. There's nothing to get with. There's nothing to be with. There's nothing to admire. There's nothing to want to be a part of. There's nothing about you that makes women want to be with you. You never learned that in middle school. You haven't learned that as an adult male. You haven't developed attractive properties about you. So all you are is some venting, whining, mewling, crying, whiny ass grown man baby out here in the adult world, still squealing like a kid about what women aren't doing for you. But it's not like you pull weight with any other women. Let's be very, very clear. When goofballs like Donovan Sharp sit up here and talk about black women, understand something. They don't pull weight with anybody. They don't pull weight with anyone. There's nothing to admire about that. There's nothing about that anybody wants to admire. Individuals aren't looking at you and saying, you know what, I want to be like that. Nobody wants to sit up here and be a damn whiner. Nobody wants to sit up here and get together with somebody who's failing. At the end of the day, men are supposed to get with people who are succeeding, not people who are failing. And a lot of you dudes, you know, maybe you got raised in a bad neighborhood and talked a certain way, and now you're off in your feelings. Now you're off in your feelings. Grown-ass men who haven't gotten over stuff that happened to them in middle school. And we're supposed to emulate you? I'm not crying and whining about things that happened in school. And you guys, you were lames then, and now they're lames now. You all know full damn well there is no white woman who's proud to be with a black male who doesn't stand up for himself. You talk badly about black women and sitting up here talking about how white women are better than black women. That doesn't make white women feel any better than when a black male hears white women talk about how much they don't like white men. That doesn't make you feel any better. She's got an agenda. Nobody respects somebody who is denigrating themselves. So there's a reason why most black men are never going to be able to get with this right here, because the only way you can join the MGTOW Minstrel movement is you're going to have to accept a position of weakness. You're going to have to accept a position of submission. You're either going to submit to white women or white men, mostly white men. But none of those people are submitting to you. None of them. This so-called red pill movement is really a minstrel movement. The black red pill movement is really a minstrel movement. And all these guys do is sit around talking about where they failed. They can't show you where they've succeeded. And their white counterparts aren't going to co-sign it or endorse it either. That's the part I want you to understand. So I'm not going to sit here and drag them all night. I wanted people to be able to go ahead and hear what was said there. And you tell me if you agree with what he said. No, not with something he didn't say. If you agree that, well, white women are just tainted. But that's not racist to white men. Why? That's perfectly fine. If you believe that, then go ahead and stand on that. Stand on that and say, I as a black male, a woman is tainted. Not that she is elevated. She's tainted. If you really believe that you being with a woman taints you, taints the woman, then I'll just go ahead and stand up and say, yeah, me being with her, I can understand. Yeah, they're right. I taint her. Yeah, I lower her value. You tell me about any of the fellas in professional sports who would co-sign that. You tell me any black male who has to show himself in front of the world and represent a team, a nation, or whatever, who's going to sit up here and co-sign that, oh, me being with your woman lowers her value. Think about that for a few moments. Some of you who have just been real slow, desperate for a father figure, and you were willing to kiss ass for it also. By the way, what you're saying is that you being with a woman lowers her value. Now, you can't pick and choose what situations it's lowered in. It has to be an absolute. Either you being with the woman lowers her value, raises her value, or doesn't affect her value at all. You have to choose a position. But it's not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. If you're losing to Pookie and Ray Ray, that's because you are Pookie or Ray Ray. Once you're one of these MGTOW failures, pointing the finger at everybody else for your failure. You're supposed to be, as a black man, you're supposed to be able to pull wherever you go. If you're losing to degenerates like Pookie and Ray Ray, that's because you're Pookie or Ray Ray. And if nobody ever told you that, if nobody ever yanked the blanket off of it and pointed out what a lame ass you are, I've done it. If you're losing to Pookie and Ray Ray, if a broad who is sleeping with dudes for a pack of now and laters, if you're losing that contest, then do you realize what a shameless, hopeless lame you just explained that you are? In the chat room, you said that's not red pill, that's red pill rage. You're right. These guys have been losers for so long that they're just angry, period. But understand something. They don't get together in circles of women. None of these guys are going to show you the women who co-sign what they're saying. They're not going to show you the groups of women who are going to go along with it and say, yeah, I agree with that. They're not doing that. They're not bringing that to you, and they're not showing that to you. You see, if what they were saying, the guys like Donovan and Greg Adams, what they're really doing is selling a celibacy movement to a bunch of lames whose only interaction with females are pictures on Instagram. They are not selling an empowerment movement. They're selling celibacy. These same dudes who don't have any female options when they met you, they leave with no female options. Here, buy my book, come to my seminar, pay for my training, where I make you feel better about the fact you still ain't got no woman. Think about that for a few moments. These guys don't help dudes to level up. They don't help men to step up their game. What they offer you is, quote, understanding women better. Okay, but did you notice what he didn't say? He didn't say attracting women better. He said understanding women better. So you're still going to be alone, but he's going to help you to understand why you're still alone. And that, understand something, when a dude is sitting up here running a hustle, that works on weak-minded, lame dudes. They don't recognize when a fella's running a hustle. So that works on them. That doesn't work on grown-ass men. Grown men who actually understand, and by the way, I'll be dealing with this in a couple of days here. You keep trying to clip it to keep people from knowing what I said. Sir, the phrase is power, wealth, and influence, not power and influence. Deliberately omitting words so that you don't have to give me credit for it. I'm just saying, that's a sucker move. But understand, they're not selling you empowerment. They're selling you courses. They're selling you consoling you in your failure. They're not selling you getting better, doing better, so that you don't have to be angry all the damn time. And that's another thing. I mean, let's just say it like it is. When a fella doesn't have access to female companionship, yeah, he gonna be hostile as hell. He's sitting around with a bunch of dudes who can't actually do anything for him except help him vent. But none of them are actually improving their position. The guy at the top is making money off of him. But the dudes that he's making money off of, he's not improving their lot. He's not improving their position. It's not getting any better. As a matter of fact, in the case of Coach Greg Adams, his advice is that you shouldn't fool with women at all. By the way, his advice is that men need to stop dating and dealing with women altogether. No, go to his channel and look at his videos. He advocates that men just stop dating women and stop dealing with women altogether. So the red pill MGTOW butt kissers, y'all aren't telling people that, oh yeah, by the way, that's what these guys are preaching. Get you a blow-up doll. Don't deal with women. It's too much of a headache. Y'all said, is he advocating homosexuality? I don't know if that's specifically what he's advocating, but I do know he advocates sex dolls. So I'm saying, if you're going to defend him, if this your man, then you need to stand by what he is saying the solution is. Y'all want to sit up here, I like the fact that he's beating up on the women and he's giving the women that work and this, that, and the other. Okay, but are you going to talk about the fact that what he says the solution is? Oh, we ain't going to talk about that. No, back up. Let's go to what he said the solution is. He says the solution is to stop dating women altogether. So are you going to endorse that? That ultimately, after all this venting and all this yelling, that the solution is we need to all get a blow-up doll or just stop dating and just be celibate. And you can get the same thrill from rock climbing or cycling or canoeing that you do from the company of a woman. Simple question. Now, they're going to charge you money for you to call them up so they can counsel you. But fellas, are you signing on to say, you know what, I just don't want to deal with women anymore? And notice, he didn't say not black women. He said women, period. Women, period. What the hell is going on this internet? Is anybody asking themselves that question? What the hell is happening on the damn internet? What the hell are y'all listening to? Who the hell are y'all endorsing? What the hell is it that y'all are actually going for? Where are you actually going to? That the solution is, you don't need no woman. Work that out. This where we going? No, for anybody who wants to sit up here and act like, oh, Jason, you saying wrong about it. I support them. Okay, you got to support all of that. For the ones supporting Donovan Sharp, you're endorsing white males saying that you lower women's value. And you okay with that? What the hell are you talking about? Are they going to sit here and tell you that being with a white woman lowers your value? Do you see any of these white men saying that if a black man sleeps with a white woman, that lowers the black man's value? Can you all point me to any of a white version of Donovan Sharp who says that if a white woman sleeps with a black man, that lowers his value? Are there any white men who say that if a white man sleeps with a black woman, that lowers the black woman's value? Think about that for a few moments. Are there any white men that these goofballs pal around with who are preaching to you that if a white man sleeps with a black woman, that lowers the black woman's value? And that they endorse the idea that black men would say that the black woman's value gets lowered because she slept with a white man. You see, I'm too old to be somebody's damn Negro flunky. I'm too damn old to be somebody's Negro sidekick. I'm too old to be somebody's Negro ass kisser. I'm not applying for that job. I'm not putting in my application for that. So when I hear that type of buck dance and talk, I'm not going for that. And furthermore, one more thing, I remind you, can you all show me, if you think that what Donovan says is accurate, can you show me the women, the females that you would actually want to get with who endorse what he's saying and telling you that, yes, the information that position he gave you, I find that sexy in a man. Show me the females who endorse what these guys are saying and are telling you that that's exactly the type of man they've been looking for all this time. Think about that for just a few moments. 'Cause that's where this is. So that whole little posse of MGTOW minstrels, all them dudes who run with these guys, I'm not going to say all their names, I'm just going to say everybody who runs with them, just understand that's where they at. So if you want to know why I've never endorsed it, never co-signed it, these guys are exactly the issue I have. They are exactly the issue that I have with it. Enough said. If you are new here to the business, you want to click that red subscribe button and click that yellow notification bell. I'm going to be back on here tomorrow night with another installment. Gonna see if we can get some more help together with us here, but I'm going to be back here tomorrow night. Going to try to have a guest with me so that we can get a woman to go ahead and weigh in on this. But if you haven't clicked that red subscribe button, you want to. I'll be doing this all this week because I got a number of different subjects I want to cover, number of different people I want to cover it about. So you definitely want to make sure that you are subscribed so you can be notified when we're doing this. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to take care of all the subjects and all the issues. Oh yes, absolutely. The folks who have tried to co-opt the teaching, tried to see if they could put their own little twist on it. I'm going to try to modify what Jason has been teaching the people. I'm going to see if I can modify it for my own uses. Don't worry, I'm going to deal with that because I want to get y'all straightened out so that you can understand why it is what you're hearing doesn't really work. So make sure you go ahead and come back and tune in with that for us here tomorrow night and the next night. Whole lot to take care of this week. Be there. This concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.